In this video presentation, we are going to discuss how to solve for a side in an oblique triangle. And we are going to focus on example number 1. Now, please take note that before you solve any triangle, for a matter of fact, you've got to make some observations. And specifically for the oblique triangle, yeah, you've got to observe the triangle that there is no 90 degrees, so you cannot mention the word adjacent, you cannot mention the word hypotenuse, and you cannot mention the word leg. All these words are specifically for a right-angled triangle. There are only two important words you can mention: opposite and between. Now, when you're observing, if you mention the word opposite twice, then we are talking about the sine rule. That's what you've got to use. And if you use the word opposite and between, then you've got to use the cosine rule. Recall from a previous video concerning the oblique triangle that the words between refers to the angle between two sides. So for example, angle A, capital A, is between B and C. As you can see, B and C is hugging angle A. Angle A is between B and C, sandwiched between B and C. Angle B now is between A and C, side A and C. And angle C is between sides A and B. And side A is opposite to angle A, side B is opposite to angle B, and side C is opposite to angle C. So these are the words that must be mentioned, okay, for the oblique triangle: opposite and between. Now let's repeat. Take note that for the oblique triangle, the comparison is always made between side and angle. Okay, comparison to side and angle. Okay, I use the word between there. Best I change this word because between is a preserved word for the cosine rule. So comparison is always amongst amongst a side and an angle. Always amongst a side and an angle. Now here you have the sine rule and here you have the cosine rule. Now here you have example number 1. We've got to observe this triangle. First, we notice that it's an oblique triangle because there is no 90 degrees. It resembles this triangle whereby each angle is not a 90 degrees. Okay, so it's oblique. So you take note of that. Then you start to talk about the side that you are required to find, labeled X here. So X now is away from 43. X is opposite to 43. You can draw a line from X straight across to 43. Once you can do that, or let's say an arrow, then you can use the word opposite. Once you can draw a line or an arrow from the side towards the angle, passing through the triangle, then you can mention the word opposite. Now, as you can see now, The angle 43 is being hugged by 8 and 10. 8 and 10 is hugging 43. 43 degrees, that angle 43 is between 8 and 10. So we have mentioned the word opposite and between, so it's the cosine rule we've got to use. X is opposite to angle. Angle is between two sides, 8 and 3. So therefore it's cosine rule. So here the observations are written. Is an oblique triangle. There it is. Side X is opposite to 43 degrees. And 43 is between 8 and 10. So here it is written here. And here is the cosine rule. So now in the place of A, you substitute X. Because if you start with A, you have to end with capital A. So the side you start with, you begin with, you have to end with the angle opposite to it. So we start with X, we have to end with 43. So X squared is equal to 10 squared plus 8 squared. Because these are the two sides that angle 43 is between. Minus 2 times 10 times 8 times cosine of 43. Now this expression, you can practice putting it straight up in your calculator, but if you want to go step by step, 10 squared is 100, 8 squared is 64, 2 times 10 times 8 is 160, cosine of 43 is 0.73. Now you go to apply BEDMAS, brackets first or parentheses, then exponents, division multiplies come after, and last addition or subtraction. Okay, so therefore now, since we've got a multiplication, we must multiply before we subtract. We mean brackets first, exponents after, divide or multiplication or division, it doesn't matter, followed by addition or subtraction or addition. So we must multiply 160 by 0.73 to give us 116.93. Then we subtract from 164 to give us 47.04. Then we square root 47.04 to give us 6.85. Here's an example of BEDMAS in play. Here, it is wrong to subtract it by 2 because you have not multiplied yet. So it cannot subtract from 2 unless you have not multiplied. Plus, you cannot multiply 2 by 3 unless you have exponentiated. So this is also wrong. This cannot be 6. So the correct thing to do is to square 3, exponentiation, 3 3s are 9. Then you can multiply 2 by 9 to give you 18, and then you can subtract 8 minus 18 to give you negative 10. But back to the problem, the original problem, x is equal to 47 point. The square root of 47.04, x is equal to 6.85. Now please repeat for practice.